The hills are alive with the sound of best music.
Thank you, David. Yeah, like I said, we're doing the Shacknews Awards here. We figured we'd get some joyfulness out of the way ahead of the Kumite here, because this is a stacked category. Best music, basically, your game had to ship this year and feature music. That's how you end up in this category. I'm going to get through the nominations, and then we're going to fight to the death, because these games all have awesome music, and I don't know how we're supposed to pick just one, but here we are. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Pacific Drive, Mario and Luigi, Brothership, Astrobot, The Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom, and last but not least, Metaphor, ReFantazio. This is an insanely stacked category. Now, say what you will about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as an open world game, or as an RPG, or as a Final Fantasy VII remake, or as a Kingdom Heartsification of the Final Fantasy series. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the music. And One Winged Angel is still a badass song all these years later. And a lot more. I see you nodding, Greg.
Yeah, it's funny because I
talk
have
about the soundtrack.
Part of the game right here, the original one.
Mm-hmm.
So 97. No, the music in this, like in Remake and Rebirth, they just all goes to 11. It's all you get all those same nostalgic tracks revamped with like modern technology, with realistic instruments, real instruments, not just synthesized on the PlayStation. They hit everything. I think they hit almost every beat that you get in the original Final Fantasy VII. Plus, they've added new tracks as well. So it's not just a rehash of the old stuff. They do put some new stuff in there, and it's an absolutely phenomenal score. So much music.
And I will say to some of the new tracks, that track for Queen's Blood, that's a jam, man. Like that, you find yourself humming that all day.
And Ozzy has never played the original one, so he comes in this with the fresh perspective of the music.
Mm-hmm. And I will say this, like, because I know that like the story doesn't factor into this category, but I will say this. No promises to keep. You hear that like in the middle of the game, like as you get to like the gold saucer. The way that song takes on a new meaning at the end of the game, I think is incredible. And I think adds to like how tremendous it enhances the whole experience, the experience as a whole. And I think there's something to be said for that as well.
I think that's just true of the entire soundtrack. It makes the game better. It makes battles better. It makes boss battles better. It makes story beats better. It is a huge part of why the game is as good as it is. Sorry, go ahead, David.
Oh, no, I was just practicing what I want to say. Continue.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I Final Fantasy VII's music is iconic. There's a symphony orchestra touring the world playing the music from this game. I feel like only certain games get to that level of notoriety where you can sell out theaters and places just for people to come see the music performed live. Square Enix has been at the forefront of great music for a really long time, and this is just a celebration of a lot of what made that original game great. Which, I don't know, the soundtrack in the original was also awesome, so I'm not that surprised that this is great either. But yeah, we got to move on. Pacific Drive. I believe TJ, you reviewed this and had some feelings about the music in it.
Yeah, Pacific Drive is the kind of game where like you don't have a lot of noise in the background to create the atmosphere. It's mostly taking care of the car, and if you're going to take care of a car that has a radio in it, you might as well make sure that radio has some good dang tunes on it. Mm-hmm. Pacific Drive, its soundtrack is perfect for what it is, because as much time as you spend on repairing and upgrading that car, and as much as that car is your lifeline to like everything throughout the game, they made a soundtrack that sounds like a road trip mixtape. And I highly respect them for capturing that vibe, because it really does kind of fill that empty space where like otherwise you wouldn't be listening to much in this game.
Okay.
And
So you said it's the perfect road trip soundtrack. I have to ask this question. I have to interrupt and ask this question. Does the soundtrack include "Life Is a Highway"?
it does not.
Oh, lost my vote.
But it's like the tracks are so feel good and kind of like that. Just sort of you put it in the background while you're just concentrating on any number of things, and it's good space filler, and it's feel good music on a sometimes very stressful game. So I love what they did with it, and it came out probably. I've listened to a lot of those songs a lot this year outside of the context of that game.
Mm-hmm.
And do some of these
it's true,
songs
like-
also match the vibe of kind of what you're doing in the game as well? Kind of like, because it reminds me of maybe Alan Wake 2, where the songs were like really tailored towards the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Or even like, I want to say GTA 4, but there's like this one mission, like you're stealing a car in New Jersey or something, and there's a song playing that obviously the person who stole the car from but it's like the perfect song for that moment. Yeah, I think Pacific Drive does that pretty well too. No, solid nation here. Ozzy, you've played through Mario and Luigi Brothership. Can you speak to the music in the game?
The Mario and Luigi music throughout its history has always been like solid, but they do something special with Brothership in that it sticks with the whole like sailing motif. Like your hub world is a ship and you're sailing across the oceans. And what do you typically think of when you're sailing? You think of pirate shanties and you think of a lot of accordion. And the usage of the accordion in a lot of these tracks is just so beautifully implemented. And you hear it in the battle theme, you hear it on the hub world theme, you hear it across like a lot of the island themes, and you definitely hear it across the boss themes. And the way that the Octopath devs do music really well. And while they don't do like the transitions that they did for Octopath Traveler 2 that just made that soundtrack transcendent, they do a tremendous job with their boss themes for Brothership. And the way that soundtrack kind of plays into the way those boss battles evolve, like when the Luigi logic kicks in, I think it's beautifully done, and I think it puts this soundtrack above the other soundtracks in the series.
Nice.
Best use of accordion ever.
Interesting. Oh, is there an accordion in Sea of Thieves, Sam, or is it a harpsichord?
There is an accordion in Sea of Thieves.
Do you get to
And it has
play
to
it?
be.
Wait, is there?
It might be
There's
called
gotta
something
be.
else.
There's gotta
but
be.
It's very
there's like a
similar.
crankbox thing.
Yeah, concertina. Was
Yeah,
it?
it's like a box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, concertina. Sorry. Yeah.
Bill, do you get your votes in here? Oh, I think Bill might have left. Anyway,
The reason why I didn't remember was because I always use the hurdy-gurdy.
yes, that's what I was thinking. The hurdy-gurdy is the thing
Bless
I was
you.
thinking of. They have that
Yeah.
instead of an accordion. Sorry, we digress.
But, no, because you do have an accordion. You do have a concertina, a hurdy-gurdy, a drum, and a banjo.
Okay, there you go.
He's just making
Just
up things.
a little bit of trivia.
Anyway, sorry, we had to make sure that we got the instruments in Sea of Thieves right.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Astrobot. Astrobot sucks without its music. I'm gonna throw it out there.
I don't want to go that far, but the music does add a lot to it.
I'm gonna go that far. I'm not playing this game if it isn't for the singing tree. That was the moment the game won me over.
What about those mushrooms? They're kind of like that
Yeah,
action.
They're fine.
Yeah.
But when the tree's like singing about what I'm doing in the level as I do it, I'm like, yep, this is good video game.
Yeah.
That was the moment where I'm like, yep. I'm not saying it would have been bad with that, but like the music enhances it. And that theme song is outstanding. That's like one of the best theme songs in a long time in video games.
Yeah, that main menu theme kicks.
Yes.
Yep.
The main menu, like just
Yep.
when you win from the main menu on, that's usually a really good sign. If it
Also-
was on the Nintendo Music app, I would have extended to 60 minutes on for it, for sure.
Also, that level 1 music, the first stage, is like one of the best introductions to a game's soundtrack. And like the game as a whole that I've seen in a long time. They knocked it out of the park with that level 1 music.
It's important to note this is the same people who brought us the GPU song in the PS5 pack-in game. Was it Playroom?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the just ridiculous songs. I don't know. I really like the soundtrack.
David's right though. I want to party with those mushrooms. They got a good beat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they really do. I feel like there's a great motif for every level of this game. There's some to me, I never get tired of hearing the ones that repeat. Like whenever you're underground, you hear the same song, but it's kind of like the underworld theme from Mario. You know, you just get used to it, you expect it. And I just love the soundtrack. It just really pops no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing. I have an Astrobot song in my head. We probably can't play music during these.
We could.
We could.
I'm sure Greg, through the magic of editing, will have music, audio aids interspersed in our argument.
Nope, absolutely not. Got 50 of these awards. There's no possible way I can play it though right now.
Over 60, but yeah, it's I think the main theme is one of those things too, though, David. It's like kind of throughout the game as well.
Yeah,
it's like this. It's like the Star Wars theme, or like but yeah, I think they. Like in other categories, I mentioned like congratulations, Sony, you have a mascot, but like your mascot also has an iconic soundtrack, and like that's part and parcel. Like I don't know if Mario is iconic without the Mario song, right? So like,
right,
yeah, and that's true of this next nominee too. I don't know. Anyone else want to chime in on Astrobot before we move on? Anyone want to just say Astrobot?
I played the song a little bit during our delib, so
there you go.
Astrobot.
Anyway, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom soundtrack is brutally and critically underrated. It's great. It's the return of the top-down Zelda format, which means we have overworld music, Greg. We have music for every single
best overworld theme yet so far?
Maybe ever. Yeah. I would say this could quite possibly be the best overworld theme, beating Hyrule Field and N64. It's great. But you also have each character, like when you're talking to NPCs, they have themes. The smoothie stores, they have music. Each town has its own song. The way that the game, and this is more of a sound design thing, but like the way that it transitions from one song to the other is pretty seamless and awesome.
That counts for a lot. Like, you know, we gave Octopath extra points last year for that.
Mm-hmm. And I'd say Nintendo's been doing this for a while. It's one of those things they brought over from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, like that contextual music, where like you come across a battle, the battle music kind of comes in, and your overworld theme fades out. Even that first few bars of the overworld song and how they hit, and then it goes into the overworld theme. I think little details like that are what make music in Nintendo games so great. But yeah, the battle music is great. Dungeon themes are there. You have underwater music. You have just anything you can imagine. Like the music at the stable, for instance. Like there's just Conde's song when he's dancing and saying thank you. Like the individual. There's songs in this game that you'll only see one or hear one time. You know, and they're still great. And then, yeah, you heal a whole community through the power of music. The Zoras, you bring peace between the river and the sea Zoras. And it's essentially a rap beat, which, yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say, really. It's great. Anyone else want to chime in on Zelda, or should we move on to... I think we're ready. Donovan? Metaphor ReFantazio's music rules.
It is an amazing original soundtrack, and it was one of the first things that people immediately started talking about when that game released. Because it's one of those games where there's like 3 or 4 like unique themes that could just be like are all in the conversation for like one of the best songs Atlas has put out. The battle theme in Metaphor is so good. It makes you feel like you're like walking through the tunnel into like a coliseum to fight in front of like 10,000 people. The way that they use vocals, I think, is great. I sent the Academia theme, which is where you go to like upgrade your archetypes or look at new ones, talk to more, which the character we like quite a bit here. How the entire vibe of the soundtrack switches when you go there, and then suddenly it's very like dreamlike and angelic, and there's what sounds like a harp. I don't know my strings very well, but it's such a diverse soundtrack that is one impressive because it's so unlike what we're used to from Atlas, because all the Persona soundtracks are so like modern and punchy. Yeah. And then this is full fantasy influence. So you've got, like I said, the angelic vocals, the use of strings and horns. It's excellent. I love it. It's a great soundtrack.
Yeah, and a lot of there's some opera, but also like the battle music is driving and powerful, and yeah, I don't know.
The first time I got in a battle, I was just like, this track does not need to go this hard, man.
It's like a battle cry. Like you feel like you're being called onto the field. It's great.
Yep. And it's so important to get that right, because you're gonna hear that song a lot in the game, and if it sucks, it could take away from your enjoyment of the game. I applaud them for like this whole game is such a break from like a company that doesn't care about being creative. They released Persona 6 instead, because we know it's sold well, we know it's critically acclaimed, but no, they create a brand new IP, and in doing so, they had to go to a completely different genre of music, Donovan. Like they could not bring. Can you imagine how weird this game would be with like Persona music over it? Like, it would not work. But like making music for the setting and nailing it like this is really impressive, because it's like their first time with a brand new IP like this. And I think the music is like one of the reasons why they nailed this so hard.
Yep.
But yeah, it is great.
It's there's also elements in Metaphor ReFantazio music that are kind of like, if you're a fan of the Persona series, or if you're a fan of previous Atlas games, you can hear a little bit in there. Specifically, there's like a boss theme that when you're coming up against a formidable opponent, it has very, very, very similar cadence to the boss theme from Persona 4. And it's the kind of thing where like that feels like it was made for people like me and other longtime fans that have been following this series and loving the games that they've been putting out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we got through the nominations and talking about them. We should probably vote.
I'm down.
Let's see. I'm going to start with David.
Going to Astrobot.
Donovan.
Metaphor ReFantazio.
Denny.
I'll take some of that Metaphor, please.
Oh, sorry, I put that on the wrong place. Greg.
Final Fantasy.
TJ.
Astrobot.
Ozzy.
Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Bill.
I have to go with what I can see myself listening to for a long period of time. This is really tough, but I'm going to choose Pacific Drive.
Sam.
I'm with Bill. I really like it when they can curate musics onto a track like that, and I'm going to have to go with Pacific Drive.
Steve.
Brothership.
Okay. Looks like we got 2 for Astrobot, 2 for Mario, 2 for Pacific Drive.
Yeah.
2 for Metaphor, and 1
Wow,
for Final. 1 for Final Fantasy 7. Well, this is
That's
easy.
correct.
It's easy enough. I'm picking Metaphor.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's a huge risk that they took, the divergence away from like what they're recent franchises have been known for. And like, I remember talking to you early on, Donovan. I'm like, how are they going to handle the music in this? Because like, if they didn't do it well, that game would, I think, wear on people. Like that battle theme.
It's very easy to get tired of hearing a battle theme, especially in a JRPG where you will hear it a million times. Yeah.
And like those two things that you probably do the most in the game, battle and upgrade your archetypes, they're not just good songs. They're some of the best songs I've heard in a video game ever. So that's why I'm voting for Metaphor. But hey, all these games are awesome. All the composers from these games are awesome. Like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is in this category. For them not to win is kind of crazy. But that's how great music has gotten in games. Be it Astrobot, be it a Mario game, which there's like I have a feeling we're going to hear about Mario next year in this category again. Maybe a 3D Mario game. But yeah, we have a winner. Metaphor ReFantazio has won the Best Music of the Year 2024 award here at the Shacknews Awards. Congratulations to Sega and Atlas.
Story you'll weave. Let's do it. You'll be a hero. Trust me.